Good day everyone, I am Vladimir Sinag,
And I am Daniel Nathan Zamora.
and in this video we are going to explain to you the Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium.
Before we start the report, we are going to understand some definitions. Genotype. It is what your genes are. We have two copies of every gene. Each copy is called an allele. Phenotype. It is what you look like. So if you are a black mouse or a brown-haired human, that is your phenotype.
Heterozygous. It means your alleles are different. You might have a dominant or a recessive allele. Homozygous. Both your alleles are the same. Homozygous dominant means you have the same dominant alleles. Homozygous recessive means you have both recessive alleles.
In this picture, it shows about genotype. Each copies of genotype has allele. The phenotype, it has a white flowers. It has dominant allele and recessive allele.
There are three genotypes: homozygous dominant, heterozygous, homozygous recessive. The two capital letters represent the homozygous dominant. The mix of capital and small letter represent the heterozygous, and the two small letters represent the homozygous recessive.
Hardy-Weinberg principle states that a population's allele and genotype frequencies are constant unless there is some type of evolutionary force acting upon them.
Imagine you have a big jar filled with colorful candies. Let's say there are red candies and blue candies. Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium is like a magic spell that keeps the number of red and blue candies the same unless something special happens. Let's say you start eating some candies from the jar. If you eat more red candies than blue candies, then the balance will change, right? That's the unevolutionary force acting upon the candies. But if you don't eat any candies, or if you eat the same number of red and blue candies, then the balance will stay the same. Just like how the allele and genotype frequencies stay a constant in a population when nothing special is happening to them.
In this picture, it shows a population allele. It has a homozygous dominant, heterozygous, and homozygous recessive. Godfrey Harold Hardy, an English mathematician known for his achievement in number theory and mathematical analysis. In biology, he is known for the Hardy-Weinberg principle, a basic principle of population genetics.
Wilhelm Weinberg, a German physician, pioneer of the human and medical genetics. His name is linked with that of the English mathematician G. H. Hardy in the Hardy-Weinberg principle.
The population is not evolving. When we are looking at a Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium equations, we are assuming the population is not evolving. When the population is not evolving, we can predict the genotype frequencies. The population is very large, so we cannot predict the next generation when there is a small population. Mating is random, which we know in the animal world is usually not the case. Plants will have random mating. There are no mutations. So when we have DNA mutations, we can create alleles. There are new alleles introduced by migration. There is no natural selection.
Let's suppose we have a mouse population and there are black and mice and white mice. The black allele is dominant and the white allele is recessive. Let's predict the genotype in the next generation if I give you allele frequencies. Problem number 1. How many alleles are in a population of 1,000 mice? The answer is 2,000 alleles because every mouse has 2 alleles.
Note, if we use capital letter for black fur because it is dominant, then we use small letter for white fur because it is recessive. All of the possible genotypes are homozygous dominant, heterozygous, homozygous recessive. Let's suppose P is the dominant and Q is the recessive.
Two equations to remember. Equation 1. P plus Q equals 1. This equation shows all of the alleles in the mouse population. Equation 2. But each mouse has two four-color alleles. Then P squared is equals to homozygous dominant, 2PQ is equals to heterozygous, Q squared is equals to homozygous recessive.
Example question. If the frequency of the dominant allele is 0.6, how many mice in the population will have black fur? A 60%, B 40%, C 84%, D 16%. Problem solution. If the frequency of the dominant allele is 0.6, so our recessive allele is 0.4, which is total of 1. So we are asked about the mice. The mice that have black fur can be in homozygous dominant and heterozygous. So now we are going to use the second equation, which is the p squared plus 2pq plus q squared equals 1. Our p squared or homozygous dominant is equals 0.6 times 0.6 is equals to 0.36, and our heterozygous is 2 times p times q, or equals to 2 times 0.6 times 0.4, which is equals to 0.48. 0.36 plus 0.48 equals 0.84, or 84%.
Example problem. How many mice have white fur? In the question, Q is equals to 0.4. So the solution is Q squared equals 0.4 times 0.4 is equals to 0.16 or 16%.
Suppose the frequency of the white fur allele is 0.3. How many mice are heterozygous? In this question, we are asked about the white fur allele, or the recessive allele, which is the 0.3. So we are asked about how many mice are heterozygous. So the solution is, we are going to find the dominant. So the dominant is 0.7 plus 0.3, a total of 1. So we are going to use the second equation, which is the p squared plus 2pq plus q squared equals 1. The 2pq, or 2 times 0.7 times 0.3, equals to 0.42, or 42%. What if I said 25% of the mice in the population had white fur? What is the frequency of the recessive allele in that population? We are already given the population that had white fur, which is the 25%. So we are asked about the recessive allele. So, to get the recessive allele, we are going to square root the 25%, and the answer is 0.5.
Thanks for watching.